Hi class, we are now in Unit 6. In this unit, we will start by discussing stop and frisk. To conduct a stop and frisk, the police need reasonable suspicion. The police do not need probable cause. They need probable cause when they make an arrest or conduct a search, but with stop and frisk, all they need is reasonable suspicion. We need to make a distinction between stop and arrest and frisk and search. We've talked about arrests where after the arrest the person is taken to a police station and can get locked up. But a stop is different. Stopping is a police action to conduct a brief field interrogation to clarify whatever suspicion the police may have had. The stop should not take longer than 15 to 20 minutes. If it's prolonged, goes to 1 or 2 hours or more, this is not a stop anymore. This looks more like an arrest. There's a difference between search and frisk. To conduct a search, the police may search the person's entire body, their pockets, inside their clothing, etc. But to conduct a frisk, the police can only pat down the person's outer clothing and cannot reach inside the person's clothing. The purpose of the frisk is only to remove weapons for the protection of the police and those around the suspect. The police cannot reach inside the person's clothing unless the police feels a weapon-like object during the pat-down. The next issue we will be discussing is how to establish reasonable suspicion based on information provided from an anonymous informant. If the informant is a known informant, there's less chance that the informant would lie. But if the informant is anonymous, we need some process to confirm that this information provided is reliable. The court has indicated that if we want to establish reasonable suspicion based on this anonymous tip, there must be sufficient indicia of reliability. There are several court decisions on this issue. Please read the cases and the wiki to get a good sense of what is involved in sufficient indicia of reliability. The last topic in this unit pertains to the constitutionality of stop and identification statutes. We know that the police can stop you, but when they stop you, can they ask you to identify yourself? Are you obligated to identify yourself? If the police does not have reasonable suspicion to stop a person, they cannot ask the person to identify themselves. If the person refuses to identify themselves after being asked by the police cannot arrest the person because courts have deemed this to be unconstitutional. However, if the police has reasonable suspicion to stop the person is obligated to identify themselves. If this is the situation and the suspect still refuses to identify themselves, the police then can legally arrest the person.